This is Municipal Matters, a show dedicated to sharing the unique stories, challenges, and opportunities facing Alabama's communities while interviewing those that have insight into resources that can make a positive difference.
Welcome to today's show. I'm Greg Cochran, Executive Director of the Alabama League of Municipalities, and with me today is one of the most important people in Alabama when it comes to economic development and working with our communities across the state. Welcome, Robin.
Hey, Greg, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to sit here with you today. Thank you for your time
Of course.
in talking to our members and our audience about economic development and what that means and the relationship between you and in local governments and how we can enhance that.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to be here. For your listeners who I haven't gotten to meet before, I'm Robin Ricks. I'm the Executive Director of the Economic Development Association of Alabama. And it's been a real treat as I've transitioned into this role to have an opportunity to work even more closely with your team here at the League of Municipalities and the constituency that you represent with all of these municipal officials across the state.
We love that relationship and having that long-term relationship with you through the Manufacture Alabama and working together to strengthen our workplace development, job workforce, all the things that we worked on is so important to our communities and building vibrant communities for our citizens.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about your excitement in transitioning over to EDAA.
Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, previously I worked for Manufacture Alabama. I was there for about 7 years and had the opportunity to really see what makes Alabama a great place for businesses to locate and then continue to invest and have their businesses thrive really for generations. And so I've seen it from that side of the table, but coming over to work for EDAA and getting to represent the local economic developers who are the ones that really execute bringing those folks to Alabama and seeing their love of their community and their passion for making their community a great place to live and work and worship and play and to raise their families. You can't represent a more beautiful and fun and dedicated constituency than that. It's just been the most wonderful thing to be a part of and a great group of people to get to know.
Well, we've expanded on our friendship. We've
Yes.
expanded on our partnership, working together, going to the ICSC, and I'll let you talk a little bit about that conference in Las Vegas and then the one in Atlanta. Talk about that relationship and how
Absolutely.
important it is for communities to be engaged at that level and why we put that investment out there for them.
Sure. It's been really interesting as I've learned about kind of the placemaking aspect of economic development and how retail recruitment really contributes not only to the tax base of a municipality or a county, but also to getting people to stay there, like having great places to eat and to shop and visit. And so EDAA has really taken an active role as an organization in supporting our economic developers as they work alongside your membership to recruit those folks into their communities, because that's not really been traditionally something that they've gotten a lot of support at the state level on. The state is very focused on that, major industrial recruitment and, jobs bringing rooftops and then rooftops bringing retail. So EDAA is really proud to have the opportunity to partner with the League of Municipalities. We appreciate that you welcome our folks in to the booth that you guys put together in Las Vegas, and we look forward to connecting with you again in October at the next event to get to be even a better partner and continue to support and grow that. We have a retail recruitment committee at EDAA that helps us put that together, but the support that we get from the league, we couldn't have the outsized impact that we do without being partnered with your organization.
So well, thank you so much.
That.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. It's great to have these alliances, isn't
Yes.
it? To be able to strengthen our net, to help our communities.
Yeah.
When we looked at getting into economic investment, as we called it, because we didn't want people to confuse that with economic development, what
Sure.
EDAA is doing, what EDA does for the state and the commerce. but the placemaking aspect of it and getting local officials to understand what is really attainable and what is sustainable in building an economic base for our community to thrive.
Yeah.
You guys have been so good to us, and through our EDA program,
Yes.
being there and consulting during those classes, our municipalities, in the importance of placemaking. Talk a little bit about placemaking, if you would. Some of our members that are new because of elections back in August
Sure.
may not be familiar with that terminology.
Absolutely. So what that really refers to is the side of economic development really that recruits in kind of quality of life opportunities. When a big, multi-billion dollar, European manufacturing operation is considering locating in Alabama, they're not just looking at your labor shed. They're not just looking at available sites. They're not just looking at power. They're looking at what is the life going to be like of employees that we locate here, and how is that going to contribute to retaining that workforce and continuing to grow and thrive, and what are our executives going to experience when they, come to town. And so placemaking and having a community be somewhere that you enjoy building your life is really a critical piece of that recruitment puzzle here in Alabama, and something that we work very closely with you guys to make happen.
We were recently at a breakfast, and I believe you were there with us, in the military spoke, the Department of Defense spoke, representative, and talked even how that's becoming important for military facilities.
Absolutely.
Is placement and quality of life of the communities around their facilities, because
Sure.
it affects and impacts morale.
Absolutely.
We're getting families to want to come and live there, and children. So we've tried to put a lot of focus and work into that,
Sure.
adding that. Tell me about some of the other big things that are going on at EDAA, because that's such an
Sure.
exciting organization,
Well,
and you're
thank
doing
you.
great things.
Thank you. You're kind to say that. I appreciate it, Greg. EDAA, I've been so fortunate to walk into an organization that had such an excellent foundation of trust and credibility, really statewide and even across state lines. There are organizations in other states that are really keeping an eye on what we're doing here in Alabama. But, I've been the one that's had the good fortune to walk into, this seat as the new executive director, replacing someone who was here for 15 years and who's just a really beloved figure in the economic development community, and Mr. Jim Searcy. And, so my focus has not had to be on building any of that. I just get to now stack on top of that really strong foundation. And so my focus is on having EDAA continue to be the most trusted, connected, and forward-looking partner for economic development practitioners. And so that means a couple of different things. That means continuing to build out our network of partner organizations that we work with, and really allowing us to punch above our weight through alliance building. I'm also really focused on professional development. Really the core of our membership are those local economic developers. And, if you really drill down, you're probably talking about 75 people who represent those, local organizations plus their staffs. But our membership represents more than 650 individuals. So how are we harnessing that larger membership of really talented and knowledgeable individuals to help build up and make Alabama's economic developers the best economic developers in the country? We want for organizations, when they're deciding where to locate their business or where to park their expansion dollars, we want them to be choosing between Alabama and Alabama.
Absolutely.
We want them to be here.
Absolutely. You talked a little bit about the training, and that is so important. And we were careful when we were developing EDA, our training program for municipalities, to focus on retail, hotel,
Sure.
restaurants, that we were not trying to duplicate what EDAA was doing,
Absolutely.
because y'all do it the best.
Oh, you're kind.
And so talk a little bit to our audience about how municipal officials and municipal economic developers can be engaged in EDAA and take that training and what they get from it, and,
Sure.
and why it's important, we think.
Absolutely. Well, I would first of all encourage anybody who's not a member of EDAA to consider joining the organization. I know I've got a little bit of a captive captive audience, and I don't want to put a strong sales pitch, but it is a great way, especially for new municipal officials, to engage with the economic development community and get to know folks kind of in their surrounding area, but also statewide, so that they can stay top of mind as a community. So just lots of great opportunities there. But, to really double tap on what you were referring to, which is the training piece, we see our the constituency that I represent and the constituency that you represent as really, two sides of the same sword, and that we're really, cutting together. And so the more our folks can understand about the role of the mayor in their community, and the more the mayor can understand about the role of the economic developer in their community, the better and the less duplication of work, and the stronger the community can be. The places that we see that are really winning right now are ones where your local economic developer and your municipal leadership are working hand in hand and have great relationships. And so we want to, take any opportunity that we can find to get those folks connected and working closely together.
That's incredible. And I find with our convention, in our big meetings, one of the things our members enjoy the most is that networking.
Yeah.
And being able
Same.
to network with one another and talk about issues, because typically there's very few new issues. There
Sure.
are issues that just kind of come around
That's
and
right.
about, and someone
right.
has addressed them in a positive or negative
Sure.
way, and you can learn that. And so our members would be exposed to that as well. What are
Absolutely.
best practices and what are things that work? Because with 466 municipalities, all of them are unique in
Yes.
their demographics and in their structures. So it gives them an opportunity to learn from each other. What are some of these things that we can do to enhance the lives of our community?
Absolutely.
Tell us about the legislature. Are there any initiatives that you're working on that we can partner with you?
Sure.
And our listeners can know about?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the biggest thing that's coming down the pike, I think that's important, to the group that I represent and will be important to yours, is the renewal of our economic development incentive package in the state of Alabama. Those sunset at the beginning of 2028, so they have to be renewed in the 2027 legislative session. So as we're preparing for a change in leadership at the state level here in Alabama, as we look at the end of Governor Abbey's, long and storied tenure, that is really what is top of mind, is, working with, relevant partners and starting to get our ducks in a row. EDAA hasn't played as significant a role in that in the past, but I'm very excited that we're going to have a better opportunity for the voice of the local economic developer to share, here's what is easy to implement in this package, here's what's a challenge, here's how we can fix it, so that on day one, when we pass that new incentive package, they can get out and start to recruit and close deals.
And Robin, not to put you on the spot,
Sure.
but I've kind of forgotten some of the statistics, but I'd like our audience to be aware how we lead in automobile. I
Yeah.
mean, our success with the economic development package that we've had in place over the years is a track record with it we could be proud of. Right?
Absolutely.
Through all sectors of the industry.
Yeah.
So let's remind our audience why it's important that we renew this and
Yes.
we continue to invest time, energy, and resources towards
Sure.
economic development.
Sure. This is going to be a little bit dangerous, but I'm gonna try to conservatively quote a couple of stats that I heard Secretary McNair share with us at our winter conference in January of this year. But the return on investment of Alabama's economic development incentive package is extraordinary. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 130% return on that investment. So it really is doing what it was intended to do. We're recruiting business in at just a really record rate. We're having to pay a lot of attention to increasing our labor force because we've brought so many jobs in, and it's really transformed opportunities for our individuals to have economic mobility here in Alabama. But the first thing you asked was, where are we at in terms of automobile production? And last I heard, we were number 2 in the nation for automobile output. And, something truly to be proud of. We've got all the equipment here in Alabama between the Port of Mobile and South Alabama, our incredible utility partners all across the state, our interstate system. I mean, Alabama's got all of the tools and all of the equipment, and good things are happening.
And it doesn't stop with automobiles, does it?
No, it
I
sure
mean, you look
doesn't.
at aircraft, I think we're somewhere in the top 10.
We're up there.
In ship manufacturing, somewhere in the top 5.
That's exploding.
And then, of course, the new investment opportunity in the Shoals area with submarines.
Yes.
And what's happening with Austal.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the port. We can't forget how important the port
Critical.
is to Alabama, and the intermodal.
Yes.
The investment outside of Montgomery and
Yeah.
getting those goods and services around the state.
Yeah.
It's really exciting times to be in this space,
It
isn't
is.
it? And to be a part of this state.
It is.
And what we've done. And of course, Governor Ivey gets a lot of credit for
sure.
being the lead cheerleader on that for our
Absolutely.
state, being focused, because it all starts there, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have jobs and investment in a healthy business community, it's hard to have resources.
Yeah.
And at the state level and local level, we talk about that with our cities a lot.
Sure.
That you've got to have a strong, vibrant business community to provide those resources so that you
Absolutely.
can do roads and infrastructure and parks and recreation, all
Yeah.
the things that we need.
Yes.
So it just shows how valuable you are, and
Well, thank
that you're the right person for this position and this time in our space.
Well, I feel really lucky to be here. You touched on something that reminded me, something else I think that's important on the legislative front for your folks to be aware of, is the SEEDS program.
Yes.
That's a really critical program where there are state grant matching dollars that can be partnered with, municipal and county funding to purchase sites, to bring them under one owner, and to get them prepped and ready to do site evaluation assessments. And it really helps expand the reach of your communities and their ability to get those sites ready. That is really Alabama's number one, challenge when we're competing with other, states or, regions across the country for investment and business development. We've got the land, but when a consultant calls and says, I want to know what you have available, I like, a couple of things I'm seeing in your community, send me some pictures of your sites, but don't show me pine trees.
Right.
We've got to get these sites ready to go. We've got to drive up our inventory with that, and the SEEDS program is really critical. And the relationship between the economic developer in that area and their municipal leadership is really important. So I hope we can lock arms to expand SEEDS funding and make sure that it continues to be a resource for your communities.
And Tommy Battle, mayor of Huntsville, would tell you that has been a catalyst to their success.
Absolutely.
In North Alabama, because they had that infrastructure, the land was ready.
Yep.
And so when Polaris and others came to them, they could turn that investment around quickly for them. And that's important to a business, right? That's investing billions of dollars, is they want to know, how long are we going to be in neutral as
Correct.
we build the facility?
That's right.
And so they don't want to see pine trees. They want to see
Right.
land that's ready to build a structure onto.
That's
and
right.
get that product out the door.
That's right.
Talk to me a little bit, if you would, in the audience about workforce development. You and I both serve on different organizations
Sure.
and within coalitions trying to improve our workforce
Yeah.
retainment. Is there anything there that you'd like our audience to know that where they could help?
Yeah.
Where they could help in this?
Well, I want to just take a moment to really brag on Alabama. When I kind of became aware of the challenges related to workforce in our state, it was about 10 years ago when I was working in talent acquisition in manufacturing. So I was the HR person sitting on the other side of the desk trying to recruit folks to come and work for an international manufacturing organization here in Alabama. And we were having trouble getting the trained workforce that we need. But the landscape today is completely different than the one that I encountered when I was sitting on that side of the desk. The really beautiful thing about Alabama, and I think this is really the Alabama way, is we got all the right people in the room and we started working on solutions to that problem. So today, our community college system is really oriented towards being a deliverer of skilled kind of mid-level workforce, and beyond, in a way that we didn't have them before. AIDT continues to be really a crown jewel of our economic development ecosystem and providing that rapid initial training to get folks ready to go when a facility is ready to go into service. So all of that is really happening in a great way. But we also, as we've continued to encounter new challenges, we've risen to solve those problems. No one, feels like they're running into a brick wall. They take the bricks apart and, we build ourselves a door and keep moving forward. So when we had, trouble with recruiting instructors in this most recent legislative session, we passed a bill that allows industry to loan their employees out to serve as instructors at qualified CTE programs so they can continue to make that industry level salary. And our schools in Alabama suddenly get this industry vetted instructor that they couldn't have afforded on an educator's salary before. So we're finding creative solutions to solve these problems and doing it as a collective in a way that I'm really proud of, and I'm sure that you are too.
I am, because I think you brought something, the Alabama way. I
Yeah.
think that ought to be something we carry with us as a motto, because you look at the 2-year college system, the 4-year college system. Jimmy Baker, chancellor of the 2-year college system, has invested millions into helping businesses solve the riddle
Yes.
of workforce development
Yeah.
in these micro training sessions and
Yes.
all. And we partnered with them, as you know, with the EDA program, and excited about that. And we gave a nice shout out to the governor for her help, but also Speaker Ledbetter
Absolutely.
and Garland Gudger, Pro Tem of the Senate. You're right. When legislation is brought forward and ideas of how to solve these, they have been such great cheerleaders and shepherds of that
You're right.
legislation to make sure that Alabama continues the Alabama way.
Yes.
In solving problems and leading our nation.
You're right about that. We're very fortunate here to have really great servant leaders who look around at their communities and identify problems. And when they see a problem, they are looking for folks to partner with to find solutions. And Speaker Ledbetter and Pro Tem Gudger are great examples of that for
They
sure.
really are.
They're
They
great.
really are.
Yeah, and for the benefit of the whole state.
Well, it's been I could talk to you all day.
I
really
know.
could. It's so exciting to be with you
Thank you.
and to have you take time to talk to our audience. Is there anything in closing that you'd like to share
Sure.
before we end this up? I know there's a
Yeah.
lot we could talk about, so
Yeah, we've got
you've got plenty of time.
We've got a couple of signature events that I want to flag for your
Please.
folks. So our summer conference that EDAA hosts down at the Grand Hotel is coming up in July. That'll be here in a few weeks. If that's something that's of interest to any of your membership that aren't already registered, we encourage them to check that out. And then we also host a winter conference that's really focused on like policy and education. That's a really great resource also. That'll take place in January here in Montgomery. So that's something else I would encourage them to do. But all of that information about what's going on with EDAA is available on our website and under our events section. So I encourage them to check that out at edaa.org.
Robin, it's been great having you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg. It's been wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. So thanks for tuning in to Municipal Matters. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, My ALM TV, and like and share every episode. Peace be with you.